you our state of readiness for the celebration of the 110th anniversary of the African National Congress. The ANC will celebrate its 110th anniversary physically in Limpopo on Saturday of the 8th January 2022, after it was unable to do so the previous year owing to the COVID-19 pandemic that has since claimed thousands of lives, ravaged global economies and forced countries to impose harsh lockdowns, limit movements of citizens and restrict mass gatherings. The ANC will celebrate this upcoming anniversary under strict COVID-19 regulations, ensuring that each and every person who will be physically attending the event is accredited and well within the numbers permissible for outdoor gatherings under the Disaster Management Act. An array of programs are currently unfolding to reach out to communities and sectors throughout the Limpopo province as part of the preparations for the 110th anniversary. Our programs started yesterday with the officials of the ANC, accompanied by the officials of the province, crisscrossing the different regions and sub-regions, interacting with different sectors, but also engaging our own members of the ANC in line with our renewal program, taking into consideration as well that we have come out of a number of regional conferences here in Limpopo, as well as the good work that Limpopo has done on local government. And the intention is about consolidating our base, motivating our members to then move beyond the conferences, but work towards the rebuilding of the African National Congress and strengthening partners and connection with the communities where our branches exist. All activities that are happening will culminate in the 110th anniversary rally on Saturday. Just today, the ANC Women's League is having an event that is celebrating the life of Umama Lilian Ngoyi. The delegation has met with the family. There's also been a visit to the traditional house, and later in the day there will be a lecture on Comrade Umamu Lilian Ngoyi by Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, and that will be hosted by the president of the ANC Women's League on behalf of the ANC Women's League. Tomorrow we would also be having a celebration of the birthday of Comrade Peter Mokaba and all other comrades that have fallen and are buried at the same cemetery. There we will have the deputy president laying a wreath on the gravesite of Comrade Peter Mokaba, and then go onto the monument inside the grave and lay a wreath there in memory and honor of all other comrades that have been buried in that cemetery. There is work that is underway also to go and pay homage and respect to Comrade Joyce Mashamba, and work is underway in that regard. Then later we will be having our own gala dinner as usual. We'll also be having a golf game that the president will be the first to tee off, and these are some of the activities that we would be all focusing on. As we prepare for the celebration of our anniversary, we also want to convey our congratulatory messages and gratitude to the founding fathers and mothers, members, supporters, voters and volunteers of our glorious movement for contributing to the sustenance and remarkable growth and development of this revolutionary giant, the ANC, over 110 years. Our movement has traversed many challenges and has shown resilience, continuing to champion programs that are aimed at fulfilling the hopes and aspirations of millions of our people. In the words of President Nelson Mandela, and I quote, "We must remember to celebrate the milestones as we prepare for the road ahead," close quote. The ANC issued its first January 8 special statement in 1972 in exile, delivered by Comrade President O.R. Tambo. From 1972, the ANC only issued its next statement in 1979, dubbed the Year of the Spear, and became a lifelong practice that has been maintained to date. As we celebrate the 110th birthday of Africa's oldest liberation movement, We do so mindful of the monumental challenges that still need to be overcome on our road towards a truly non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous society for which a renewed ANC is pivotal. The 110th anniversary celebration will be live streamed and broadcast as it takes place across all social media platforms, with the official program starting at 11:30 and Comrade President Ramaphosa addressing at 1 o'clock. The main celebration will be preceded by a number of build-up activities. Officials of the ANC and the NEC members are already on the ground, as we indicated. Some of the activities have to do with the visits to royal houses in the province, meeting with communities, visits to religious leaders, and many other sectors of society. Other highlights of these build-up activities include what is led by the Women's League on the memorial lecture of Mama Ulilian Ngoyi, and then the Peter Mokaba Memorial Lecture, the fundraising events, as well as all other activities that our own sub-regions have initiated, the cake cutting that has taken place across the length and breadth of the province. We have also noted a number of social gatherings which are not necessarily organized by the African National Congress in and around Polokwane. We want to call on all those participating in these different activities to observe COVID-19 regulations, but also to desist from using the ANC logo, especially on those programs that have not been sanctioned by the African National Congress. We are quite aware that there are regions, because of the numbers that we have for the event, where comrades are going to have their own public viewing. Those are known, and the regional leaders are taking responsibility for them. And due to the numbers at the stadium, we have organized buses per region, and there are bus lists that have been compiled from every region, and those buses will actually bring comrades who will be permitted to be in the stadium in line with the COVID regulations. And the biggest number will be coming from Polokwane because of proximity, but all regions have been accommodated. We have a sizable number of province representatives also invited. We've set 5 for every province, and that includes the chair and the secretary of the province and the 3 additional members. We've provided a space for members of the alliance. There are guests that have been invited and the sectoral representatives, because we want to work within the numbers as stipulated in the COVID regulations. And for now, we are busy. The GM working together with ourselves in organizing. We are in contact with the officials of the ANC in finalizing and fine-tuning the list of those that are expected to attend. We do encourage members of the public to use our social media platforms. Limpopo has a social media platform. The ANC has got, the Youth League has got, the Women's League has got, and also because it will be live streamed, we encourage comrades whether to come in groups and have a public viewing or at their homes, in the safety of their homes, to be part of this historic day of celebrating 110 years of the African National Congress. That is the nature of the program. We are going to the NEC this afternoon, and in the NEC there will also be discussions on very important issues that affect the country, but also on the reflection of what has happened over the past few days. And we share the statements and the sentiments that have been expressed by our parliamentary caucus over the fire that has engulfed Parliament, a national heritage. The ANC is equally saddened by the destruction fire that cost the infrastructure of the Houses of Parliament made up of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. We join many calls on the law enforcement agencies and other competent institutions to investigate the causes of the fire. The ANC further appreciates the heroic role played by firefighters, constant update by presiding officers and parliamentary staff, including the National Executive led by Comrade President Cyril Ramaphosa, who provided leadership at a very difficult time for the nation. Any possible and intentional attack on Parliament is an attack on our sovereignty and democracy. The ANC once more reiterates the position of its parliamentary caucus that part of healing the divisions of apartheid and colonial past requires that we should continue to build a society based on democratic values, social and economic justice, and fundamental human rights where the rule of law is paramount. We also condemn an attack on the Constitutional Court as an important pillar of our democracy. The Constitutional Court is a powerful symbol of our constitutional dispensation and of supremacy of the Constitution and the rule of law in our country. As I've indicated in conclusion, we will be having an NEC meeting this afternoon, and it will be reflecting on adoption of the ANC 110th statement that will be presented by the President on behalf of the NEC tomorrow, and then all other national issues there will also be a reflection on. We still are encouraging our members, our supporters, communities to comply with the COVID regulations, sanitize, use a mask, promote social distance, and those who are as yet to vaccinate, we encourage them to also go and get a vaccine because it's for your own good. And this is part of what has been a message in and around the areas where we are working, but also at the stadium, we have also encouraged that those who wish to get any service of a health nature, we do have the medical services that will be on site, because we do believe that every opportunity we find, we must encourage comrades and members of the ANC, as well as members of the community, to consider vaccinating, testing, and of importance, knowing your health status. Thank you very much, Comrade Pule.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Comrade Ongola. We'll now open the floor for questions to members of the media. Just introduce yourself, your name, and the media outlet you come from. Okay, I can start with you. So I suggest we take all the questions for them. Maybe we take 3 rounds, and then let's take the first round of questions before it ends, and then go to the next round. You can put your mic on. Francis.
From independent newspapers. How well coordinated is this event? We've been getting drips and drabs of the program. We don't know what's happening when, and so what is the challenge and how well coordinated is this event?
Oh, okay. I think you must say I, maybe refer to yourself, because many others who are on ANC groups get the problem.
I am with the ANC.
What I think because that also build up activities.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Maybe the PSA clarify which part do you mean, because on ANC media groups, we put one statement, we distribute digital posters of programs of officials. So the reason why some were with us in Sekukune and others were joined the deputy president and others were with the TG and with the national chair is because the programs are well coordinated. So maybe clarify your question. Okay. So you agree they are well coordinated? Okay. Second, can we come this side? CD Palani Natasha. Yes. What? Yeah, I forget your name all the time. Pule as well. Yeah. Okay, CD.
So it's just a quick one. Please excuse my voice. I just want to find out, you come to do a January 8th. following a year where you had a virtual January 8th, I wanted to know what the mood is like in terms of difference. You're also doing one without a secretariat, really. You don't have Ace Makashulu, you don't have Jesse Duarte on the ground with you. I imagine not all NEC members are attending, or are they? Just want to find out what are the logistics around NEC members and what the mood is like for the party coming back and without your secretariat. Thank you.
Okay, in that order.
All right, then Trudy Jones, ENCA. Starting with the first year, just want to find out how does the party feel like having had financial woes and actually continuing with this January 8th event as well, knowing very well that staffers have been burdened by not being paid. And secondly, what decision was taken by the party not to actually accept the offer or help by the DA to actually use some of the facilities in Cape Town when having to host the sauna? Why did the party not accept the offer?
Is it using part of facilities for January 8 in Cape Town? What is it for?
No, that's for something, not for January 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mention, so we know what you are asking about. Are you asking about Parliament?
No, Parliament, yeah.
Okay.
Parliament, yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, this thing isn't very clear. Morning, Menongula. I know you just said that the ANC will be meeting today, and it's too early to preempt, but I mean, what key message will the ANC be delivering, especially on the backdrop of what we've seen this week, the attack on the constitutional court, the fire in Parliament, and the July unrest? Furthermore, touching on T's question about the Secretariat, there's a poster, suspended ANC Secretary General, Mr. Ismail Hashim. I think he's got a political program using the fund of the ANC. Will this not land in hot water in the party? And then just questions from Sophie. She's asking that the ANC is the oldest liberation organization in Africa and the oldest political party in the world. How important is this? I think you touched on it in your statement. Then the second question from her is, will there be any international delegations expected at Saturday's celebration? Thank you.
Okay, those are all the questions we have. So maybe the PS, you don't want to first clarify the question of coordination, because I think it's very important. Yeah.
Comrade Gule, thanks very much. Good morning to you, journalists, and compliments of the We are an organization that is 110 years old, and we have been organizing the January 8th celebration before we were born, during our lifetime, and it will continue even in our aftermath. This January 8th celebration in Limpopo, if you remember, we get that here, Comrade Nomvula, in December 2020, to prepare for the January 8th celebration, the 109th January 8th celebration, which was supposed to have been held here in January 2021. And if you go back to your archives, you will find that we circulated the same program that we are circulating now. Unfortunately, we had to scale down some of the activities, but we know what we are doing. Our program, physical program, started effectively yesterday with the national officials of the ANC and NEC members visiting the 5 regions in the province to meet with traditional leaders, to meet with faith-based organizations, to meet with structures of the ANC. Today, those activities are continuing. Comrade Nomvula has outlined our alliance partners are on board. There are COSATU shop steward councils which have been organized throughout the regions, addressed by both the leaders of the ANC and our alliance partners. We have memorial activities. You would know that the first president of the ANC Women's League, Comrade Lillian Ngoyi, comes from this province. That is why we found it befitting that there should be a memorial activity. The Women's League has the Lilian Ngoyi annual memorial program. So it's going to be held here. Peter Mukaba comes from Mankweng, the cemetery where he has been buried. His mortal remains have been interred there together with many other fallen combatants of the African National Congress, like Nduru Mithapi, Mos Makwela, the same area where Franz Muthala, Castro Pilusa, Tembis Kosana come from. So we have those activities to honor those comrades. And for sure the last activity before the main event will be the gala dinner, like it has been outlined here. The main event is happening on Saturday, January 8th at the old Peter Mukaba Stadium. We are well coordinated. We know how many people we have invited for each of the activities, whether it's a cadres forum, it's a gala dinner, it's a memorial lecture, or we are meeting traditional leaders. We know, remember, we are also the party leading the democratic state in the country. We know the number of traditional leaders in each and every region. I can tell you we have 7 in Waterberg, what number we have in Skukune or in Mopani district or Capricorn. In any event, those are our traditional leaders. We don't thumbsuck, we know. We are very sure about the numbers, the coordination, everything. We are on top of all these developments. They have been organized by us.
That clarifies the question. I mean, we've been planning for this event for over a year, so we can't get it wrong. Over to you, Comrade Nomvula.
Yes, and also just to confirm that we have teams that have not even gone on a festive break, working on, it's a culture in the ANC. When you prepare for January 8, you've got a team that does not take a break, save Christmas Day, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And from the 2nd, we start communicating and doing the work. The issue around the absence of the Secretariat, we wish our DSG well. She's a very courageous woman. Ideally, some of us would want her not to have a total shutdown from organizational work. But as and when she finds it possible, she is able to give guidance to us. And that we appreciate. But then you have 4 other officials of the ANC. The 4 officials of the ANC have been holding the fort. We've been consulting with them. Myself and Comrade GM, the Provincial Secretary, Comrade Soviet, we are consistently in touch with the Treasurer General, who is holding the position of the DSG whilst the DSG is recuperating, but also the 2 of them are able to connect without putting a lot of pressure on Comrade DSG. We also have officials meeting frequently. Just this past Monday, part of the discussions was, again, the brief about the state of readiness to the officials. This morning, the officials were in consultation with myself through Comrade DSG, the Provincial Secretary, on looking at the final program of the day. So we may not be having warm bodies in place, but the system is functioning because there are committed men and women who are taking the responsibility of making sure that things do happen in the organization. So that's the issue about the absence of the Secretariat. The support structure is there. The elected officials themselves are taking control of the situation. We are lending a hand from organizing. The province itself, the host province, has also been doing quite a great deal of work. We've also been supported by the NEC deployees to Limpopo through Comrade Togo also being on the ground, assisting to pull things together. That is the state of the capacity of the African National Congress. Of course, we miss DSG and his dynamism and his ability to put and make things to happen. We wish her well, and her own mind is actually in Limpopo, but we're trying to push her towards making sure that she complies with the doctor's orders. The issue about the event after the lockdown, just now we're discussing with Comrade PS and Comrade GM, and reality is we find ourselves in a COVID situation. And I can tell you, had we not had restrictions in terms of the numbers we will bring, the whole country will be here. Structures of the ANC. We are inundated by requests to come to Limpopo. Unfortunately, we will only have 2,000. It's like a coming together. It's like a coming together of comrades who have not been in this environment over time. So what is also an issue is we're then encouraging provinces to organize and ensure that there are public viewing spaces where they are. Secondly, we are also pleading even with those that assume that it is a given for them to be invited, that under these circumstances, we aren't able to bring everybody and anyone and everyone who wishes to be in the stadium to be there. We've made a commitment, and that's why even in Limpopo there are these sectoral meetings, because not all traditional leaders will be invited, not all women's organizations will be invited, church leaders. It's just 2 representatives per structure to accommodate the number. The biggest concentration is on our members coming from the branches in Limpopo, so that then this has a semblance of being an organizational activity where the president is addressing members. After this coming weekend, the intention is to deploy the NEC to the different provinces to go and engage with the provinces on the January 8th statement, which will then be a program of the African National Congress. Of course, the ANC is going through serious challenges of the non-availability of resources, but we are doing everything with the little that we have, and izinto ziyahlangana. Things are coming together. We also are quite mindful that we can't go overboard when our own staff members have not been paid all their salaries. We're also quite conscious that we can't also go overboard when some of the other benefits of our workers have not been paid for. But what we remain humbled about is that the team that is working is not a team that is outsourced outside of those workers of the ANC who are not paid. It is still them volunteering, availing themselves to make sure that this event does take place and it becomes successful. And for that, those of us who are elected will remain indebted to them, because they show that over and above being employees of the African National Congress, they have a political obligation and organizational responsibility to help rebuild and renew the ANC and to make this event a success. Whether there's a program by the SG, we've not seen that program. It is not in our formal program. As we have said, even in the statement, there are many, many initiatives that are taking place outside of our plans, and we have come out to say, where people are doing their own events, let it not be in the name of the ANC. Even those festivals and the bashes and stuff, only the public viewing sites that are known by us, that comply with the COVID regulations, are the ones that we have directed our comrades. Of course, people are driving to Polokwane. This is part of also celebrating January 8th, it's like promotion of tourism in our country. It's one week in the calendar of our country where tourism, wherever the ANC goes, actually booms. So there are people who are just going to have get-togethers in their different homes, meeting friends and chilling in hotels and in the parks, because Limpopo also is quite good when it comes to issues of tourism. And I think these are some of the things that we can't also, as the ANC, say they shouldn't happen, because celebrating this has now not become just an issue of ANC members. The feeling out there is that we want to be where the ANC will be. And unfortunately, the numbers are very limited, but we appreciate the intention by the local tourism people, and as well as ordinary South Africans coming from as far as KZN, the Eastern Cape, who have indicated that they will be within this province of Limpopo because the ANC is in Limpopo. I'm sure some of them will take a turn to Mahuba's Kloof and see how Tito prepares his fish. And so it's and the others will go to Moria, just you know, those who are religious, because even the churches have actually been restricted. So there's a plurality of activities in and around Limpopo, all happening, and comrades and communities are taking advantage of the fact that this 110-year-old organization is in Limpopo. Thanks, Pule.
Okay. Thanks very much. Do we have a follow-up question?
Madam, didn't answer. Okay, 3 questions.
Oh, tell me.
The international guest.
Oh.
Yeah, expecting. The other question is the ANC is the oldest liberation movement in Africa, and the oldest political party in the world. How important is this achievement? And then also the question around your ABC meeting later on today. What key message will the ANC bring delivering on the backdrop of everything that's been happening, the tie in Parliament, the attack on the concourse, and the unrest in July last year?
There's a number of international guests that have been invited, and there are also those that have shown interest. We have members of the diplomatic corps who are also going to be represented through their own structures, because we can't also invite everybody. Our subcommittee on international relations will then host a much more broader and inclusive session with members of the diplomatic corps. We have identified our strategic partners internationally that we've also invited, such as China and Sweden, amongst others, to be part of us. With the situation in Swaziland, we're inviting Pudemo to be part of our celebration, because we must also use this platform to demonstrate our solidarity with our brothers and sisters. We've identified Sahrawi as also one of the important guests, Palestine. And as the day goes by, with the feedback, we will be able to share the information. What has been the lesson for the ANC is that we do not just brag about being the oldest liberation movement, but we're also an organization that has seen many other experiences that many liberation movements have never seen. We came in and we promoted a negotiated settlement. We came in, we suspended armed struggle. There wasn't a total takeover. And we have always, from our founding days, stood for a non-racial, a non-sexist, a democratic and a united, prosperous South Africa. All those components are issues that we still have to pursue. So our struggle is not yet over. And what we have learned is that some of what we we envisage as a liberation movement actually becomes one protracted struggle post the political freedom that we have gained, like the economic emancipation of our people. It's a protracted struggle. The issue of land, it's complex in our country, and because of our own dynamics of land ownership and land use patterns, it is something that we need to deal with in a manner that do not continue to disenfranchise the already disenfranchised, but also in a manner that does not compromise food security and the viability of the agricultural sector. But we also need land not only for agriculture, but the need also to acquire land for development and deracialization of our human settlement patterns. So these are some of the things that we are learning, and you'll hear also in our January 8th statement a true reflection on those issues and what must be the task going forward, acknowledging the bit that we have done, the setbacks of the past local government elections, the lessons out of it, the issues around what ended up in the state capture, the issues that had to do with the fires in parliament and stuff, and just pockets of lawlessness in our country. We will reflect on that. Issues of young people are quite important for the movement, and I think we are a movement that can pride itself that we have been consistent around youth development and youth participation, youth inclusion in the economic drive of our country. So that is what you will find, and these are the things that as the oldest movement we also have to deal with. And having moved from being once young and not yet being too old, one of the other things that is quite important is that everyone must appreciate, and a 110-year-old organization is bound to have not only young people, but you'll have young people coming in to join the African National Congress. And therefore, the transition from the current leadership to the younger generation has to be a well-managed transition that does not dilute what the ANC stands for, that does not undermine the historic knowledge and contribution by those who happen to be no longer 35. So it is something that we as an organization must pride ourselves with, because in any household where there are elders, they become your sounding board. And they actually also listen to the younger ones on how to keep the family together. So that generational mix becomes quite important, notwithstanding that the issue of women and striving for a non-sexist society are things that even in the ANC were practicing. It is only the ANC that applies gender parity in the election, in the selection of its members. It is only the ANC that has that as policy. And we hope that post this, we should be able to canvass and lobby all political parties that if we all stand behind the constitution of our country and our commitment towards a non-sexist society, we must have systems that make sure that there's equal representation, there's no gender-based violence and femicide. Women are not actually being victimized just on the basis that they are women, or on the basis of their economic improvement, or on the basis of them making a choice in life or in any relationship. So these are the things that, as an organization that is rich in relating and working with our communities, we would wish to continue to be seized with that and overcome our own internal own goals and work towards ensuring that we become a united organization, because only a united African National Congress can actually be an effective leader of society. Shopule.
Thanks, Reverend Walla. I'm sure you've clarified. Just don't forget, we've got that 1 o'clock event, the Women's League one, so we need to try very quickly rush there so that we don't miss out on.
Actually, again from independent newspapers.
Yes.
How is the step aside rule going to be implemented here? Already there are sessions that this event is being funded by BBS accused Benin season. How true is that, and how is this going to be? How will those that have stepped aside be part of the events?
I think that is an irresponsible assertion to say an organization of this magnitude, the African National Congress, can be dependent on an individual. And I think for our own dignity and our own pride, we will not wish to feed that kind of narrative. It is very destructive. It is undermining. You see, the ANC has got the province, has got national, that are working together in mobilizing the resources. At no point would we wish to have a situation where people want to make a conclusion that we are funded by so and so. When the right time comes, our own, isn't it now, we declare where we get our resources. Our TG will declare where these funds for this event come from.
Thank you very much. Just to also help you, members of the NEC also do make contributions from time to time, including when they attend their own meetings. It's just that we don't talk about these things. Such arrangements are even made for this dinner. NEC members will be attending the dinner, will also be able to put something forward for their own organization. They do it all the time. So we don't just depend on external funders. So that also must be noted as well. So I'm sure that we've clarified all of the questions. We'll want members of the media. CD has already raised her hand that she wants to rush to cover the DP. So I want to thank all of you and once more apologize for starting late. We hope to meet on the ground. Thank you very much. We've got the Gold Day tomorrow, we've got the gala dinner, we've got the Peter Mokaba lecture. So there's quite a number of activities that are happening.
And accreditation is started.
Yes, and we also have got these other unsanctioned social activities that Comrade Nomvola spoke about. So you are welcome to go and dance.
All right, the ANC, they're briefing the media with regards to the state of readiness ahead of its 110th anniversary celebrations happening in Limpopo this weekend. We understand that ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa will address at 1 p.m. It should kick off at around 11:30 or so.